This right here is a $1 million bill. This right here is a $1 billion bill. This right here, $100 bill. All fake, of course. Today we're gonna talk about, do the government really want us to not be poor? Do politicians really want us to not be poor? Fascinating talk. Something that Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment brought up, which was extremely fascinating, and something just clicked in my mind. I was like, you need to talk about this. If everybody knew, if more people were financially educated, would the politicians, the governors, the commissioners, the mayors, would they be as powerful as they are now? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. These people, they definitely get power stricken. If you think about it, the police, they do it too. They got a lot of rules set in place to where the police can almost get you in trouble. Just they can provoke you and get you in trouble. Like, you can end up in jail for them provoking you, right? And the governors and the mayors and the commissioners and stuff like that, and I'm going to speak specifically on the ones in Miami Beach, which have blocked me on Facebook for sending them information about what's going on in the world, and then them basically being in lawsuits for a while because they were violating human rights. They were violating the Constitution, and that's just what it is. You be a bad person, that's how you get treated. And, when people put you out there, you can't just block them. They're not going to be silent. No, it don't work like that. But would they have as much power? Would they be doing everything that they're doing right now if people have financial education? The answer is no. If people have financial education and took better care of their finances, they wouldn't have to depend on the government. They wouldn't have to depend on politicians. Well, when the government gives this money to the politicians to dish out in their certain states, they wouldn't have to depend on the politicians as much. They wouldn't have to depend on the governor, the commissioner, the mayor as much, if at all, if they actually taught financial literacy in school. And I know a lot of time, oh, my light just went out. A lot of time they just, and some people say, the rich are rich because they teach their kids about they teach their kids financial literacy. And that is completely true. And school is not meant to teach people about how to be financially free. School is to teach people, I'm talking grade school, high school, college, it teaches you to be dependent on someone. So if you think about it, it teaches you to be dependent. Every step of the way they're teaching you how to follow instructions, not how to follow rules, not make rules, how to follow someone else's dream, not dream your own dream. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that. People just like, and my grandma and grandparents, and it's because this is how their time was. It's like, during that time, if you actually went to school, got a degree, you got a good paying job and stuff like that. These days it's not like that. Okay, but the bad thing about it is people, unfortunately, even like I saw, even speaking to this one woman today, black people, we still aren't educated enough to know that school is not the route to be financially free. You definitely have to teach it at home, because they're not going to teach it to your kids in school. And if you really want to be financially free, you have to take it upon yourself, because we definitely cannot. Think about it. What the government does is they give you just enough to where you still might have to depend on them if something bad happened, which of course something all odds is something always bad will happen. But if you don't get ahead of the game, a lot of time you end up stuck and depending on the government, depending on your local politicians, the horrible politicians like the ones in Miami Beach. What's his name? Dan Gilbert, and the commissioner Michael Ghana or whatever his stupid name is. You end up depending on people like that to help you throughout your woes and troubles, which they don't give a damn about you. And to be honest, should they? No, they really don't have to. Just like we don't give a damn about them. We have to give a damn about ourselves to make sure that we are financially free, and that when unemployment happens, and take a note from the Jewish community, like some Jewish people did lose a lot. And I found this one guy, I know this Jewish guy, has a family of he has 3 kids, a wife, actually took in an entire another Jewish family. I'm talking wife, husband, 2 kids, and their dog. Okay. One family took in another family when this family was going through financial troubles. They helped them out, feed them, everything, until they were able to get back on their feet or get their hotel open. I talked about this in the previous video. And that's something that a lot of black families aren't willing to do, and for the most part can't do. Can you imagine like doubling what you spend in a day, in a month, because you have an entire another family there that you need to take care of, and you don't know when they're going to be back on their feet. You're just there helping them. And a way that they were able to do that is because they're financially stable. They are financially literate, and they know what they can handle, and they knew that they can handle that, and they were prepared for something like that. Even though this came out of nowhere, they were already prepared for it. And that's something that the majority of the U.S. were finding out is not. They push you to get these credit cards. They push you to be in debt. And then what all of this does is it makes you dependent. It makes you eventually dependent on them. They're like, okay, we're going to give you all of this stuff. And a lot of times it seems like it's stuff that's for free. Okay, this stuff is not for free. It's to keep you in place. It's to keep you exactly where they want you. Because again, something bad, majority of the time, it happens. It always happens. And when these programs that they have, like the WIC program or like the EBT program, they threaten to get voted in, they threaten to take those programs away, or they say the other side doesn't want these programs. And to be honest, like, no one really should want that program. You should want to be able to take care of yourself and not have to depend on the government to feed you, or depend on the government to take money off your rent every single month, or depend on these funds that they have set aside for when bad things like the pandemic happens. It's good to have those, but it shouldn't be used as much as it is on the mass scale that it is used on, which is absolutely insane, I still think. And the fact that they didn't have systems in place to prepare for all of this stuff, to get everybody through this smoothly. Again, the amount of deaths and the amount of crime that took place and that will take place going forward past this will probably largely outweigh how many people died of like the COVID-19 virus or whatever. It's going to vastly outweigh it, I believe, because this virus goes around just like the flu. It's never going anywhere. It's always going to be here, no matter how many. Think those vaccines, that's not a one-time vaccine. A lot of people keep thinking that. No, that's something that you're going to, just like the flu vaccine, that you're going to have to take every year. Or that if you want to take it every year. I'm not a vaccinator and never will be. But that's something that you want to really look into. A lot of people think, oh, it's over, now it's done. No, it don't work like that. And the news has been putting it out that way. And unfortunately, to the people who watch the news and listen to the news strictly and to get their information, they don't do research on their own. Unfortunately, they're gonna be in a bad place. For people who didn't do their own research, you're going to end up in a bad place. Definitely listen to the news, fake news, listening to the government, listening to the politicians, because all they're doing is putting you in a place to where they can continue to control you. They give you just enough to where if something bad happens, you have to look to them for help. And that's the thing that I want to make sure that I've been working on, getting the black community, helping one person at a time be financially free and not have to worry about working at not working, buying food from Whole Foods, or buying food from, or buy quality food from Whole Foods, or buying food from Walmart, which of course is not as best quality in some stuff that you would get at Whole Foods. It's just insane. We don't want to depend on the government anymore. We need to make sure that we come up with a plan, and this time we had so much time to think, and unfortunately a lot of people wasted the time that we had to think and to prepare and and plan our life going forward, starting not even just in 2021 but starting now. Like, a lot of us, we passed up, I ain't gonna say us because I wasn't in this shit, a lot of people passed up their time as far as all they did was just watch movies and TV shows and messed around on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram for like months and months and months, basically like a year vacation or a year of retirement. Basically, they didn't think, they didn't learn, they didn't do anything, and that makes them vulnerable to everything that's going on right now. Talking about the stimulus checks and the constant updates on that, and them playing their little game and waiting. Oh, we're gonna wait until this time and this time and this time. It's probably gonna be Christmas before they actually end up sending out some form of stimulus, which is so sad. The fact that they let people suffer, that Pelosi bitch just let people suffer. All of them, all the politicians, they let people suffer, and those are the people that you have to depend on. It's funny because there was a study with, was it dogs or rabbits? I think it was dogs, where they had like a little fake dog, and the dog would shock the dogs when they came close to them. They did other studies with different things too, but the dogs would come close to it, and sometimes the mommy dog would shock the puppy dog. And it was crazy because when the puppy dog that the mama dog shocked and showed love to, like, sometimes it would shock it, sometimes it wouldn't. The other one, it just wouldn't shock it at all. The dog that it shocked and then also didn't shock, that dog was drawn more to the mama dog. Like, it was a love, it was like a pain and then a love relationship. So it would hurt the dog and then it would be nice to the dog. I think the thing with the way it showed love is it dropped treats at certain times. The other one, it just dropped treats for when it came to it. This one, it would hurt it, shock it, and then drop treats. Shock it and then drop treats. And that's basically what the government is doing to people right now, is giving you these tidbits of hope, and then then it's shocking you, it's hurting you, and then it gives you a little bit more, and then it hurts you again. And people are falling for it. Instead of getting themselves together, getting their life together, they're falling for everything that the government is doing to them, and it's going to keep them dependent for a very long time. And unfortunately, those are the people who complain about things not being right, but they never hold themselves accountable. They never tell themselves, they never look at themselves in the mirror and be like, you know what, I think maybe I can do something to get ahead, instead of wanting someone to do something for me to get it, for me to get ahead. It don't work like that. So that's my rant. The government wants us to depend on them. They don't want us to be rich. They don't want to help us be rich. They don't want to give us the information to be rich. It's not in their cards. In their cards is to keep you poor so they can keep you under control. If you're poor, you're not financially free, you're not educated, you are under their control. And that's all I got to say about that. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.